All right, good evening to you. It's time for Coach's Corner here on WZEP AM 1460 and on WZEP YouTube. And hello to everyone out there. Haven't had a chance to see everybody on YouTube since, it's been a week ago. Friday night, we were not on the air with the game. And of course, a lot of people I know noticed. And we were actually out in Mississippi, and Joseph was graduating from his tech school there in the military. And in fact, we have two guests with us tonight. We do have Joseph, who is running the equipment along with our grandson, Gage Fleetwood. So, Joseph, glad to have you here tonight to hang out with us a little bit. And of course, you'll be headed out in about 11 days out to Travis out in California, and we're going to miss you, but we're glad to have you home and appreciate your service out there. And I'm going to say one thing. Friday night, we were out eating, and I was on my phone trying to find the score for the Walton game, and tried and never was able to come up with it. And I didn't find out till Saturday morning when I actually went on my phone, and Gary had just posted the score again. It popped up on my phone, and I saw where we played hard against Arnold. It was a away game for us. And so, Coach, you want to tell us I wasn't there, so I don't know what all happened. I didn't get to see any of the action. I missed it. I missed Friday night.
Sure.
They had a lot going on and over there, and they had a bunch of antique cars, and they had a whole thing going on this week. There was antique cars, but I was missing my Friday night football.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you from Walton.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
You've done it a long time.
I was missing it. I was like, well, I'm here for a good reason, but man, I sure wished I knew what was going on, And I was like, if I could only go to my YouTube. But I said, can't do that because I'm here.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But it sounds like it was a tough game. Was it?
Yeah, it was a tough game. It came down to we had the ball, had a chance to score. The biggest thing is we got off to somewhat of a slow start. We actually got the ball first. We moved it down. We picked up about 3 or 4 first downs, and then they had a really good corner at the Division I player, and we got caught in like a 3rd and 8 situation. We tried to throw a comeback route, and it sort of got tipped up in the air, and he pick sixed it. So it sort of started off to a slow start. We had some holes we were sort of patching up defensively. It's just one of those situations where it's the next guy up.
Yeah.
So it took us a little bit of time to settle down from a defensive standpoint. We've been playing pretty good defense all year, but we got off to a slow start from that standpoint. And it was 21-7 going into halftime. So the biggest thing is we played about as, I don't want to say as bad as you can play the first half, but we didn't play like ourselves. And come out the second half, we really battled back. I was very pleased with our effort and our resiliency in the second half, and we showed the fight that it needs in order to turn this thing around to be successful, and just came up a touchdown short to have the ball at the end of the game. We were in plus territory. Just didn't convert, but I think we put ourselves in position. We've sort of been in that situation. The past 3 weeks, it's been. I think the thing you think about that you take for granted whenever you win is you do take for granted little things sometimes if you're not careful, and then whenever you lose, you are evaluate.
Then you're looking
little
at
things, the penalties. You're able to look at that and evaluate. Hey, what can we do to get better? We've been preaching little things. It's not big things. So I think if you take a positive away from some things, you are able to focus on just plays here or there, whether regardless of this effort or execution. To where sometimes you take for granted.
Yeah, of course, we're a very young team, so that's one of the things we got to look at. But considering the players we lost last year coming into this year, we still got a lot of great players out there, but, there's a lot of younger ones that's out there. So I think they're developing quickly as you watch the season. Absolutely. I mean, nobody we played has really been that much of a pushover. I mean, they've all looked pretty good. I mean, they've come out and fought us tooth and toenail, and we fought, hard too. And, see a lot of talent this year to me. There's a lot of talent on these teams.
Yeah, for the most part, I think, people, it's human nature to be disappointed. I sort of have a 24-hour rule where, Saturdays, win or lose, hey, I'm going to, deal with it on a Saturday, sort of relax. And then after Sunday, you're sort of focused on the next opponent, regardless. But, speaking of the youth, I'll just give an example. We played two seniors on offense, you know, and I think they've both done a good job. I think Robert Morris had a tremendous game, sort of had a coming out party.
Good.
You know, we had over 100 yards receiving. You know, he was a basketball player. We got play football, so he had a big game. Defensively, you know, we probably started 3 or 4 seniors. So at the end of the day, we're playing about 18 underclassmen. We're even playing some freshmen and sophomores. So they're only going to get better. But then at the same time, I've been proud of our seniors for even if they haven't had a lot of experience, they're trying to step in. They're trying to lead at the same time. And our youth is growing week to week. Biggest thing is that I have seen even through the tough times, I do believe this group's, you know, stay together and they want to be successful and they're doing what it takes, you know, to put themselves in situations.
Yeah, become a team.
Absolutely.
Exactly, become a team, not an I, but a team. And that's what I keep seeing when I'm watching them. You start to see them even on the sidelines. You know, you're watching them talk to each other and they're pointing out or something and they're saying, you know, maybe we, and you see that and you know they're learning and they're watching and observing. So that just shows that y'all's teachings are working and they're starting to think as a team.
Absolutely.
And that's what it takes. It takes, you know, nobody's going to win the whole game by themselves. I mean, if you did take them all off, put one guy out there, see what happens to him. He won't get very far. And it's, you know, it's a team effort. And I see that developing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and you don't have a lot of seniors, but, you know, they're playing their hearts out because, you know,
sure,
they're playing for pride. You know, it's
Absolutely.
Walton pride. And, but we know in the future, you can see that, you know, these seniors will go on. They will have a new set of seniors, but you've got a lot of young talent coming up. So things will probably get a lot better, you know, but there's always, you know, when you have transitions, you lose a lot of seniors, whether it be in high school or it be in, you know, college level. You see what happens. You know, all of a sudden you got wins, you got losses, and it's a building thing. And you got to build that attitude into those kids, and that's what you're doing out there. You can just see it because they're getting that. Let's go, boys! Come on, let's all come on. We can do this. We can do this. And if you know, you listen to them a little bit down there because you can hear them sometimes yelling at each other. Come on, man! We can do this. We can do this. And that's what you want. You got that effort, and somebody wants to do that extra. That's what you're looking for in an athlete. The one that'll, you know, I got to do a little more. I can't be complacent of what I did last week. I gotta step up a little bit more this week. I know it's in me. Let me get it out. And that's where you guys come in as coaches. You're able to instill that into these young men. And as they get out there working together, they start to realize, you know, what they're telling us is right. Mm-hmm. You know, they're adults, you know, and when we're teenagers, we don't like to listen to any adults. You know, we already know everything, but you know, you see it in their playing and you see it in their actions on the sideline. So I just think it's neat to watch this team develop and mature as it's gone through this season so far.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've talked about it, and I've thought about it to where, you know, some of these kids, you know, I'm proud of them because really some of them's played JV, and then we've also asked them to step in and play in a varsity game, and they didn't flinch, you know. So whenever you see that, you know it's going to click. You know what I'm saying? Because the want to is there. You can see it in their eyes, and you know, the experience is coming along. But you're also asking some kids that, man, if they were maybe playing on a JV level at a year, they'd be dominating. Right now, they're scratching and clawing, but they're getting better each and every week. And the biggest thing is they're building confidence within themselves. And then at the same time, you know, game time experience is only going to, you know, help in the long run, you know. And we're going to continue to work, you know, in the weight room and continue to develop. So it's you know, it's a process, you know, it's a day in, day out thing. You just try to win the day. And then, you know, whenever you get to a Friday night, you know, it's time for everything to come together. And, you know, past few weeks, it hasn't came together, but that doesn't mean we're not going to continue to do what we do and keep pushing through.
Well, we played some big schools. We played a lot of talent that's been out there, some older kids like we were just discussing, and these kids coming off the JV there to step up and do this. You know, it's just a lot different when you play it on the JV and you all of a sudden you get out on the big field. You know, it's kind of like going from junior high where you were maybe, you know, the star there, and all of a sudden you get to the high school and I'm like, whoa, there's 4 or 5 guys just as good as I am, and I've got to compete. And so that's, you know, what they're trying to get in their mind. So they're stepping from JV up to, you know, playing on the senior part of the field out there. It's quite a step for them.
Yeah.
But it's like what you need. You need, these kids to get some experience. And then this season is, we've had a lot of winning seasons over the last few years, but there's always a building time, and things change, and so. But these kids are developing quickly because you can just see the attitude from the first game, even when they were the last game when we were down at South Walton and it flooded and all that.
Sure.
And we should have called the game, but we came back to play. I was watching those young men out there, and I'm like, they got soaking wet. They got kind of dry. They're wet again. And look at them. They're just throwing themselves hard at it. And I was like, they get it. They get what this is all about. And that's part of the coaching, is teaching them to get what we're trying to do. We want to win, yes, but development. That's what life ends up being.
That's a day-to-day process. That's 365. That's every second. At the same time, we're going to love on them, trying to, do everything we can to help them be successful. But, we got to, especially with the young group, we're going to continue to push them and expect them to play, better than maybe they can play right now. But that's just somewhat the expectation. And then whenever it clicks, and as they continue to develop, it's going to be, it's going to be a fun to watch. It's going to be a good thing. And anytime I think you go through hard times in life in general, that only makes you stronger. That makes you better. So you got to keep your chin up. You got to keep playing. Of course, it's it is about winning.
Yeah, it's about winning, but it's also, to me,
it's the situations, and it's about competing, and as long as we're competing, putting ourselves in situations, and I think we have done that the past few weeks. It's just, a few plays here and there you can point out as a coach, and, and that's things for us to fix.
Right.
Kids know that, they understand that we have to clean up on some things that we've done, but it hasn't been an effort deal. I think.
You talked about winning. Part of life. We win in life, we lose in life, and then we have to strive in life too. We got to know how, when we don't succeed, how to pull ourselves up, as the saying is, dust ourselves off, and say, okay, what do we got to do to change where we went here? Training people in sales over the years, I would always tell them, I said, listen, you're going to be so beat down and disgusted. I said, because a lot of times it may take 20 no's before you ever get a yes. Mm-hmm. I said, and them 20 no's hurt so bad. But I said, the thing is, you can't let that defeatist attitude take you over. You got to think, this next one's mine. This next one's mine. And then you learn from what you talk to different people. You learn from that, so you put your game together a little bit better, Absolutely. And that's what football's about. Yeah, and that's what life's about.
It's all about consistency,
and it's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a discussion with somebody over in Mississippi, a fellow there, and we were talking about that and about football, and he was talking about how good it was, and developing young men and getting to see what life is about. I said, winning, losing, and working as a team, and then figuring out what have I got to do extra to make myself be better. And I said, that's really what we do in life, So it's a life lesson. Well, Coach, we've got Pensacola coming, I understand, Friday night.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a chance to even see if they played last Friday night or who they played.
Yeah, they played Destin.
Did they?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was kind of rough.
It was lopsided. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. So we got them coming into town, and it's going to be our Hall of Fame game, and they'll be inducting a lot of folks. So we'll, invite everybody to come on out to the game. I'm sure you've had a chance to look at some films of Catholic, and you're going who you have to control. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, they're solid somewhat across the board, they're very big up front, sort of like they have been in the past. Offensively, I think they're a little bit more balanced than they were the past 2 years, to where we sort of knew when they were running their throw, and now they sort of can do either or, at any time from an offensive standpoint. I just think, once again, our job as coaches is to get our players prepared for Catholic 100%. my focus with the program and just sort of who I am is I'm focused on Walton and just continue to improve and putting our kids in the best situation to be successful. And if you do these things, you're gonna have those opportunities, and then look at the bright spots that we've had and continue to build off that and get the players that are making plays the ball and continue to, come together and fix some little things. But Catholics are good. And they're a good program. They've been a good program. We've had some great battles with them the past 2 years. I think there's a little bit of a rivalry there, but then I think there's somewhat of a respect factor too, where we both know we have good programs. It should be. I'm always looking forward and excited to playing them. I think our kids are too.
I know I've talked with the coach for Catholic last year. We were just on the sidelines talking there after the game. Went by there and we were just talking. He was, admiring our program here. He says, your guys, you pull from what's around you. Our situation is we got a lot more area to pull kids in, and I said, yeah, you're able to bring them from everywhere. He says, yeah, he says, and I'm thankful. He says, because if it didn't, y'all would run us off the field, and I was like, well, that's a compliment to what our program over here has built over the years.
Sure.
Under Coach White, and, of course, you were under Coach White there too. It just tells you that they're respecting what we do over here in Walton County. In other words, they're like, those guys can take their regular kids, where we're getting specialty kids, more or less, and they take, kids out of the regular school, and they're able to make them play football and play and beat us sometimes, And so I always thought that was a compliment to us over here, because we're not a private school like they are. And, that makes a lot of difference. You take Bowles and Jacksonville, you go over there and look at that school, you think you pulled up on a college campus. I mean, it's just, it's not a public school. So, sometimes I feel like it's not fair for us to play private schools like that. I mean, it's just, seems like to me they get a little bit of an advantage because they're able, to pull from a lot different places than we're able to.
Sure.
Yeah. And, and especially Walton County now, you got the Freeport, you got South Walton, and you've got up here, Paxton. Well, either you want to play basketball up there or baseball, or you want to come to Walton, maybe play football. We don't get to choose a lot from up there, but we do get a lot of kids from the north end of the county here. Of course, we are part of it, but I'm talking up towards Paxton area and all. But, I think it was just a compliment to our program and to our school system over here that, that the coach there respects us that much. So, I think, everybody's doing a good job, and that means you guys are doing a great job. So Hall of Fame coming up Friday night. Walton will be taking on the Crusaders. And I tell you what, we're going to need everybody to be there Friday night. Got to get there. We got to cheer. We got to push the Braves on. We got to scream for the coaches, scream for the team. We're going to say congratulations. I saw where the band did real well over the weekend competition. I think it was Saturday up in Geneva, I believe is where they were at. And I'll say I'm proud to see that for them. And that program, they work hard just like the cheerleaders do, and these young men here on the football team and all the other athletics out there. I know coming up tomorrow that going to be a cross-country meet in Freeport, and young man sitting over there is competing tomorrow in that thing. So, if you can, go out and support that too. Support all the athletics you can there at Walton High School, whether it be for the boys or the girls. It's important. They need us there to, scream and holler for them. And cross-country is one of those things you do by yourself, and you work on yourself inside to better your time. So it's a little different. It is an I situation there, and even though they have teams, but it's an individual sport.
Trying to get a personal best.
Try to get a personal best, and that's really what we do in football.
Absolutely.
We try to push each one of those young men do your personal best tonight, and then next week, guess what? You might be able to do a little bit better. You think so, Coach? Yeah, I think you can do it. Let me pat you on the back. Yeah, I think you can. And you still that in young men, they want to exceed what they're doing now. And that's all part of it. That's how you build. You got to build that want to. And I see that happening with you. And I'm proud. And you're a really young guy. So, hopefully we can keep you around for, until you retire here at Walton High School,
Yeah, well, it's, I think once again, whenever it's just things, this too shall pass is what you say, you know what I'm saying? And I think, looking at those kids, whenever you get to see them Monday and even after a game Friday, you see a disappointment. But then, the biggest thing is whenever you see people upset because they actually, gave the effort and believed that they could do something, then you fall up a little short. And I think, the biggest thing that I'm proud of right now is these young kids have not, they've stayed the course, and even these seniors, we're gonna do our best to give them the best year they could possibly have, because they're doing what we're asking them to do. You know what I'm saying? And from a leadership standpoint, man, I feel like, when things are hard, you really see yourself, and you get to watch every people grow. I think it brings out growth, and it's even through bad times, I think it does bring a smile to your face, because it is about results, and you want to get the results you want. But then whenever you see growth and you're able to reach, sort of deep down and really pull something out, and it's part of lifelong learning, I guess is what I'm getting at, to where whenever mistakes are made, I think you're able to really reflect and learn and grow wisdom than sometimes whenever you may be successful just because you may be more athletic than a group, but you're really not executing, or you're really not, doing the things. Where a situation we've somewhat been in is every time there's been a mistake, it's sort of cost us. But then at the same time, if we're learning from it and it's going to make us better in the long run, I think, that's what it's about.
That's it. So it's all happening this Friday night again. Where? At Yates Memorial. It'll be the Walton Braves against the Pensacola Catholic Crusaders. They come to town, and we want all you folks out there on YouTube and also listen to WZEP, load up and come to town along with Pensacola, and fill our side of the stadium. And then, if there's enough of us, we'll fill the other side and push those Catholic fans over a little bit and say, hey, we got to come cheer our team on. So, Coach, we appreciate all you do. We look forward to being there Friday night to get to watch the Braves again. And I don't know, anything else you'd like to talk about? Anything going on at the high school?
I think, Friday, I haven't thought a lot about it, but today I saw the certificates, and I think Hall of Fame night, what a great honor for those, former athletes, former coaches. I was just looking at the names, and I know a few of them, and that's the ultimate honor to me. I talk to our kids sometimes about, an NFL Hall of Famer, or MLB, because I think Hall of Famer means you're the best to ever do it. You're part of a fraternity that's forever. You know what I'm saying? If you're a Hall of Fame at Walton High School, I mean, that'll never be anywhere. So I just want to say congratulations to those people, because, players made an impact on the field, and I even saw a bunch of coaches, names on there. Man, what an impact they made, not only on the court or the field, but in other people's lives. And I think
classrooms and elsewhere where they had
that's that kids. To me, I think I don't want that to not come to light, because you're Hall of Fame regardless if it's Walton or wherever it is. But Walton High School, I think that's the ultimate honor for our school and our community. So I want to say congratulations.
And you never know, some of those young men sitting on our team this year, 30 years from now, they may be one of the ones getting Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Right here on the field. And so that's something for them to think about, that, I could be one of those in the future.
That means you're one of the best to ever come through. So I think that's a big honor.
Yeah. Well, Coach, we wish you well Friday night, and we'll all be there rooting for the Braves. We encourage everybody to come out and, cheer on the band too, and get some concessions there. And, that helps the band understand. So all that works together as we promote the program there, athletics there at Walton High School, and the music department too. So folks, till Friday night, we're going to say good night to you. Thank you, Coach Lindsay, and we appreciate it. Thank you to Gage coming in and helping Joseph tonight. And good to have Joseph in town for a few days, and appreciate his service that he's joined the Air Force, and just think Joseph's going to be one defending our country. So you folks that know Joseph are probably nervous too. So we're just picking at him, but we appreciate it. And we got to go to the graduation there. We met some of his classmates and all, and of course some of his superiors, and that was fun. It was something I'd never been to before like that, and it was a neat adventure. And I'm glad we had the opportunity to go. I hate we weren't here for the football game, but we kind of made the decision to go with him.
Once in a lifetime opportunity. So congratulations.
So we went to see it all, and we appreciate you folks being loyal fans for the Braves and also for WZEP. So until Friday night, about maybe 5 or 10 minutes before 7 o'clock, y'all have a blessed week, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
All right, Gary. Are you gonna bring the equipment back on tonight, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think about rather get it out.
All right.
It won't take us long, and I'll get it out here.
All right. See you, Gary.
Yeah, I don't really want it sitting in the heat.
What you doing when you're home? Just hanging out?
Well, bad thing is I'm still kind of working.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm coming back. I did this thing called Recruiter Assistance Program. I get 12 days for come back home, not like hospital leave. So I gotta go to my recruiter's office at 10 o'clock in Fort Walton.
Oh, do you?
And just like go
So you're still somewhat on the clock, huh?
Yeah, but today I went there. I went to Crestview at 10 o'clock, left at 12, and the only thing I did was throw away a roach in the supply closet because the recruiter, she's deadly scared of roaches,
Oh my God,
and inventory pamphlets.
that's funny.
That's all I did.
For 2 hours. So did
2
That
hours.
was your day.
Yeah,
That was his day.
I fill out one form, and I stared at these two people that were trying to join the Air Force, and I was wondering how the hell they were going to join.
What am I doing? Yeah.
Yeah, this one kid, he had to be, I don't know, maybe 5'9", 5'10", somewhere in there. 229 pounds.
What?
Yeah. And he came in there, he said he was interested, and I think I smelled
You're like,
it.
dude, yeah.
Yeah, I think I smelled it when I opened the second door for him. Yeah.
Do you even have what? Do you tell them you got to lose some weight?
That's what the recruiter said to him.
They come back when you
Yeah.
won 9.
Come back whenever
Signed
you
some
won.
forms,
Yeah.
Gave him the card. They weighed and measured him right there in the recruiting office. It's like, come back when you're 190 pounds.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. We can't even have a conversation until
Yeah, you can't.
you ain't gonna make it. Well, first off, we're not gonna let you, but you ain't gonna make it even if we. Yeah.
You can't be above 26% body fat. So right now it doesn't really matter too much because to join the Air Force you can't be above 26%. But when you're in the Air Force you can be above it as long as you pass.
As long as you can pass the test. Yeah.
Which it's a 2-mile run. I forget.
What do you have to make it in?
The minimum is 19 something. The max is 12 something. So you get 50 points off the run.
So you still got to make it under 10 a mile.
Yeah, and you get 50 points off the runs. I forget this. They recently just changed it, so I don't run any push-ups or sit-ups, and they re-added the waist measurement.
You have to do pull-ups.
I
I always suck at pull-ups.
suck at pull-ups too.
Yeah.
But they made us do pull-ups and do them too, but now it's a test just to work out.
Yeah.
Like,
Push-ups, sit-ups, I can do. Pull-ups, I was never.
Yeah,
Pull-ups are killers.
I can't.
Pull-ups are killers.
What grade you in?
I'm a freshman.
Freshman. You a big kid, dude. You don't play no football.